Welcome back to FHL Community Episodes. Last week we talked about Jesus being barriers breaker. What that means was that Jesus breaks the tradition, not to pick fights with Pharisees and Sadducees, but there are traditions in the past, even now in our new culture, that may not serve its purpose. It could be good in the past, but it's not relevant. Just like some of the things that happened with the recent pandemic that we experienced, there are things that change, the online services and different kinds of meetings online. So Jesus challenged the authorities that sometimes they are just focused on the tradition or the culture and but what Jesus wants to bring is that he wants to bring the culture of heaven, not conform with the culture of the world. So he was the master of barriers. I encourage you, if you haven't seen that or study it, go back. I believe in in the past couple of weeks, and you will find out more about the barriers breaker. Also, Jesus provided the Samaritan woman the living water, and many of us are thirsty for more. The same thing as in the food pantry. We may feel like we are serving food to people. Yes, we have to serve because that's a basic human need. We need to eat, we need to drink, we need to sleep. But at the same time, many times some of those symptoms could be just things that we need to understand is that people are hungry for more. People are thirsty for more. And again, I discussed that from our last episode. So this time we're going to talk about social capital. And I'm really excited about this. All of us will learn about social capital, but whether it's intentional or not, you probably have experienced social capital benefit from it or other people benefit from it. So let me tell you briefly about the recent experience that I had in social capital. And this is about when during the pandemic, we started seeing food insecurity. So one day I was driving in front of a vacant Starbucks, and I called the number. An idea came to me to turn it into a drive-through food pantry. So what happened was that I called the number. A realtor answered it because they're trying to lease it or sublease it because Starbucks has a contract with the owner. And he said, yeah, I'll call you back. And the same day, I was on a three-way phone call with a corporate executive from Starbucks in Seattle, Washington, and I shared with him the vision. I said, wouldn't it be great instead of just you paying taxes and paying the lease month after month and the building just standing there, why not let us use it, of course, free of charge and pay for the utility, but Starbucks will be able to serve the people where they do business from. So they saw, a bigger vision of that, and that's what happened. At the end of 10 months or 9 months, we have served over 500,000 worth of food to the community, and we had 300 salvations. We had dozens of churches, businesses, and individuals, and even the government came alongside us to support the vision. And so that's part of social capital. It's not socialism, it's just we are social creature. And because of the power of relationship, then people come alongside, they see your vision, and then bigger vision could arise from that. So what is social capital? I encourage you to look back at some of the episodes that we had when I shared with you the entire story of the Starbucks. You'll be fascinated, and I'm still so blessed to whenever I share that story. But let's take a look at what social capital means. So, based on Wikipedia, it says that social capital is the networks of relationships among people who live and work in a particular society, enabling that society to function effectively. It involves the effective functioning of social groups through interpersonal relationships, a shared sense of identity, a shared understanding, shared norms, shared values, trust, cooperation, and reciprocity. Social capital is a measure of value of resources, both tangible, that is, public spaces, private property, and intangible, actors, human capital, people, and the impact that these relationships have on the resources involved in each relationship and on larger groups. It is generally seen as a form of capital that produces public goods for a common purpose. So now you can relate. That's why I shared with you again the story of the Starbucks briefly because of this definition. So we'll take a look at this quickly. So this is a two-part series. The first one that I'm going to talk about today is the power of vision that we will discuss today. So, what is a common thing? Let me ask you this: what is a common thing that effective leaders are good at? So let me give you a couple of illustrations to help you out. In the movie Braveheart, that's a famous movie and I like it. I like inspiring movies, not so much as violence, but really something that inspire my heart to do more and really inspire something that, that's challenging. So anyway, William Wallace, played by Mel Gibson, gave an inspiring speech in front of his troops just before they faced the vicious enemies. He painted a future for his troops through sharing a powerful vision. I can still see it in my mind's eye that he was like riding his horse in front of the troops and the cavalry are in front of him and he was just going back and forth. And this is what he said: I fight and you may die, run and you live, at least a while. And dying in your beds, many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance to come back here and tell our enemies that they may have take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom? Isn't that great? It's just those things. Once you paint the picture, the vision of what an ideal future may look like, you can inspire people through that vision. That's why it's powerful that you start creating these social networks of relationship. Once you share your vision, they see and the common goal, as the definition said. Now, another thing that I'd like to illustrate to you is the speech of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that has such a historic impact. He delivered it in front of 250,000 people, but has reached millions of people and changed the course of history of our nation. He said, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. I mean, it's just like, do you feel like the power of that speech? But again, this was taken from the Bible. That Jesus, through Isaiah, he said, I will make the paths straight and I will make rivers flow in the desert and the desolate land will flourish. And that's what Dr. Martin Luther did. But it was just like something that's just like awaken in our soul once you share the vision. And then because of that, then you start having this social capital and interaction. So you probably know now what's the common denominator of great leaders, which is vision. They communicate their vision in such a powerful way that people are willing to follow the leader. They invest their time, treasure, and talent, and even their very lives, as in Braveheart. The Bible says that where there is no vision, the people perish. That's from Proverbs 29:18 from King James Version. Where there is no vision, the people perish. So everything begins with a vision, right? You may think, well, everything? I think so, that we have a vision of the future. How can you create something if you don't see it or foresee it? So everything begins with a vision. Becoming of what the future could inspire us to believe beyond ourselves. So what do I mean on that? That, for example, on September 12, 1962, before that, no human being had landed on the moon. All right, so on September 12, 1962, JFK delivered his famous speech. It's called We Choose to Go to the Moon. But actually, he delivered that at Rice University in Texas. So this is what he said in front of mostly students in that university. He said, we chose to go to the moon. We chose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because the challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. Isn't that powerful? It's just like he painted the picture of like, hey, what would it look like to go to the moon, and not just for the sake of going to the moon, but actually in the process of going to the moon, that it can change our perspectives and lives. Second is that sharing the vision, it gives people confidence to take massive actions. Let me tell you this based on the story of the Bible. In Nehemiah 2:17, it was taken from New International Version. Again, the walls of Jerusalem was broken down because of all the battles that happened all throughout the years. And then here comes Nehemiah. Then he said, then I said to them, you see the trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been burned with fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be in disgrace. So the rebuilding of the wall of Jerusalem only took, listen to this, you're talking about massive action with people who really were not builders, or there was war going on too, because they were being threatened. So half of the people were working, and half the people have their shovel guarding the workers in order to build the wall. So the rebuilding of the wall of Jerusalem only took 52 days, in spite of many oppositions and lack of resources. The Israelites were compelled to leave their families. Can you imagine? They left their families, risked their own lives to see the vision become a reality. And with that, what does it mean with the social capital? That's because people starting hearing the vision, they start coming together. They bring their big forks, their farming forks, their shovel and things in order for them to contribute to the vision. So, vision gives birth to movements. And let me just share with you a personal story. In 2005, I share a vision that, hey, why can't we do missions right here in our own city? Because mission can be so expensive going outside the country where half of the money is spent in transportation, accommodation, food, and maybe some, visiting the local place because you're already there anyway. So I shared with them, I said, hey, why can't we market a local mission or outreach the same thing as we market international outreach? So I share with them, we need to make banners, we need to talk about it for several weeks before we do it. We need to tell them the story about our neighborhood. That's what happened when you go on an international trip. You show pictures, and you saw the natives. You share, the culture and everything. So I shared it with them, and because of the power of that vision, 7 churches from 7 different denominations came together to serve in their own neighborhoods, and then they were inspired. As I shared the vision, hey, what are the needs? I asked them, what are the needs in the community? What are the resources? And out of that, then let's create projects in your own backyard. And once you create projects, you present the projects to the congregation and start recruiting people. And that's what happened. So that was 7 churches in 2005 gathered, not just for 1 hour service or 2 hour service, for the entire week. I asked them, if you can spend thousands of dollars, one person, right, going to outside the country, build and sacrifice your vacation, your own money and everything, why can't you do it right here in your own backyard? So 7 churches came together the entire week of mission. We call it Faith, Hope, and Love Week. And then listen to this. The next year, it grew to 50 churches and businesses in metropolitan Indianapolis, with 1,200 volunteers work for the entire week simultaneously. And now the social capital benefits start to work, because they actually collected some money from their own congregation, and the congregation is start bringing other resources and telling other people, their neighbors, and before you know it, we have tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars poured in each community that we created, and they were all self-funded. That's the power of social capital. So we need to share our vision and communicate it clearly to others. So now, just want to share with you again the power of this is that there are many ways that you can share the vision, such as in one-on-one with another person, or maybe one in a group, just like what's going to happen here when I share the vision of with the Latino pastors. Next week, actually, we will be gathering several Latino pastors, and we will share with them the importance of coming together and turning food pantries into mission hubs. And then the following week, I will be at Martin University. It's a local university here in Indianapolis, and there will be dozens, as far as I understand, there will be dozens of pastors, stakeholders in a community called Martindale Brightwood neighborhood. It's like a zip code of 46218 in Indianapolis, and they are gathering these leaders to hear what happened to Faith, Hope, and Love, Missional Food Pantry, and how we can disciple people while activating them to reach out to their neighbors, and at the same time giving food and also sharing the gospel. So that's the power of it. So next week, hopefully that gives you more perspective of what social capital starting with vision casting and also being in relationship with people. So next week we will talk about part two of this topic, which is, you know, I call it the hidden treasure. So until then, just remember that you and I have the power and resources, delegated authority from the kingdom so that we can provide kingdom solutions to worldly problems. Until then, I'll see you next week at the next FHL episodes. God bless you.
Watched the news this morning and we saw that this food pantry drive here is giving away food, and with the economy the way it is and situation we're currently going through as well, a personal issue, where money is a little tight, so we definitely wanted to take advantage of it. I'm so glad I did. Had no clue that they were going to have like prayer session, which is, it touched me in a way that I can't even describe, because I needed that prayer in our journey that my husband and I are going through. He was involved in an accident, so we needed that prayer, and the free food we can definitely use. So I'm really glad I took advantage of it, and bless you guys for finding it in your heart to even make something like this happen for us.